Have you ever wondered if miracles can happen in the darkest moments of life? In the frost-covered streets of San Francisco's Chinatown, during the coldest winter in decades, a story of hope was about to unfold that would change not just one life, but an entire community's belief in new beginnings. The narrow alley behind Golden Palace Restaurant had always been home to stray cats and discarded dreams. But on this particular morning, as the first rays of dawn painted the sky in shades of amber, something unusual caught the eye of elderly chef Mr. Wei Chen. There, coiled weakly against a dumpster, lay a stunning golden and emerald serpent, its scales dulled by injury and neglect. Mr. Chen had always been known in Chinatown for his kind heart, taking in strays and feeding the homeless who wandered past his kitchen door. His daughter Lisa, a veterinary student at UC Davis, had inherited his compassionate nature, though she struggled to understand his unwavering optimism in the face of hardship. The serpent's presence seemed almost symbolic, appearing just days before the Lunar New Year celebrations were set to begin. In Chinese culture, snakes were considered wise and mysterious creatures, bringing luck to those who showed them kindness. But this one needed more than luck. It needed a miracle. As Mr. Chen approached the injured creature, his weathered hands trembling slightly in the morning chill, he noticed the severity of its condition. Deep wounds marked its elegant form, likely from an encounter with a predator or perhaps something more sinister. The snake's breathing was shallow, its movements barely perceptible. Like many in Chinatown, Mr. Chen had faced his own battles. The loss of his wife 5 years ago had left a void that even his beloved restaurant couldn't fill. But something about this wounded creature stirred memories of her words. Sometimes, saving another soul is the best way to heal your own. The morning light grew stronger, casting long shadows across the alley as Mr. Chen made a decision that would set in motion an extraordinary chain of events. With gentle movements, he retrieved an old wooden box from his kitchen, the same box his wife had once used to store her precious herbs and medicines. Lisa would be arriving soon for their weekly breakfast together, a tradition they had maintained even as their lives grew increasingly separate. She would know what to do, how to help this magnificent creature that fate had placed in their path. But even Mr. Chen couldn't have predicted how this encounter would weave together broken pieces of their family's story. The snake's eyes, though dimmed by pain, held a wisdom that seemed to pierce through Mr. Chen's soul. As he carefully lined the box with soft towels, he remembered the ancient stories his grandmother used to tell about serpents being messengers of the gods, bringing transformation to those who showed them compassion. Time seemed to slow in that quiet alley, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. The sounds of Chinatown awakening, the clatter of delivery trucks, the calls of early morning vendors, faded into the background. In this moment, there was only an old man, a wounded snake, and the first chapter of a story that would remind everyone who heard it about the power of new beginnings. Mr. Chen's hands, steadied by years of precise knife work in his kitchen, moved with surprising gentleness as he prepared to help the injured creature. The morning air carried the scent of his famous dumplings, a reminder that life's simplest pleasures often accompanied its most profound moments. The snake, despite its injuries, maintained a regal bearing that touched something deep within Mr. Chen's heart. Its scales, though damaged, still caught fragments of light, hinting at the magnificent creature it had once been, and could be again. As he waited for Lisa to arrive, Mr. Chen began humming an old Chinese lullaby, the same one his wife used to sing in their garden. The snake seemed to respond to the gentle melody, its breathing becoming slightly more regular, as if drawing strength from this simple act of kindness. Nearby, the preparations for Lunar New Year continued. Red lanterns being hung, streets being swept, offerings being prepared. But in this quiet corner of Chinatown, a different kind of preparation was taking place, one that would prove that sometimes the greatest celebrations of renewal begin with a single act of compassion. The morning grew warmer, but the snake's condition remained precarious. Mr. Chen noticed how its golden scales seemed to mirror the color of hope itself, a color he hadn't truly seen since his wife's passing. Perhaps this was more than just a chance encounter. Perhaps this was the beginning of something profound. Through the kitchen window, Mr. Chen could see his staff arriving, their curious faces peering into the alley as they noticed him kneeling beside the wooden box. They had seen him help strays before, but something about this morning felt different, more significant. The snake's presence on this particular morning, so close to the new year, seemed to carry a weight of destiny. In Chinese tradition, such timing was never considered coincidental. It was a sign, a message, a possibility of transformation. Lisa's arrival was imminent, and with it would come the expertise needed to help this magnificent creature. But Mr. Chen already knew that this story would become about much more than just saving a wounded snake. It would become a testament to the power of compassion, renewal, and the unexpected ways that healing can touch multiple lives at once. Mr. Chen gently placed his hand on the wooden box, feeling the weight of this moment. The snake's eyes met his once more, and in that connection, a silent understanding passed between them. This was just the beginning of an extraordinary journey that would change them both forever. As the morning sun climbed higher, casting its golden light across Chinatown's awakening streets, the first chapter of this remarkable tale was already being written. No one could have known that this wounded snake would become not just a symbol of renewal, but a catalyst for healing wounds that went far deeper than scales and skin. Lisa's arrival at the restaurant brought an immediate surge of professional concern as she examined the injured snake. Her trained eyes identified multiple lacerations along its body, signs of severe dehydration, and what appeared to be an infected wound near its head. The situation was far more dire than initially apparent. Testing at the emergency veterinary clinic revealed a grim diagnosis. The snake had been deliberately injured, likely part of an illegal exotic pet trade operation. The wounds showed signs of crude handling and improper care, telling a story of cruelty that made Lisa's blood boil with anger. The treatment would be expensive, far beyond what Mr. Chen could afford from his restaurant earnings. The specialized antivenin needed for this particular species alone would cost thousands of dollars, and the required surgery would double that amount. The financial burden loomed heavy over their heads. Adding to their troubles, local authorities became involved when they learned about the golden and emerald serpent. Questions arose about its origin, legal status, and whether keeping it would violate wildlife protection laws. The threat of having it confiscated hung over them like a storm cloud. Mr. Chen's restaurant began to suffer as he spent more time caring for the snake. Regular customers noticed his distraction, and the once perfect dumplings sometimes emerged from the kitchen slightly overcooked. His staff whispered concerns about his growing obsession with saving the creature. Lisa found herself torn between her professional judgment and her heart. The snake's chances of survival were slim, and dedicating so many resources to saving it seemed illogical. Yet something about its fighting spirit and her father's unwavering dedication made her question her clinical detachment. The winter nights grew colder, and maintaining the proper temperature for the snake became another challenge. The restaurant's heating bills soared as Mr. Chen converted his office into a makeshift recovery room, carefully monitoring the environment around the clock. Word spread through Chinatown about the Chen family's unusual patient, drawing mixed reactions. Some praised their compassion, while others criticized them for risking their business over a snake. The community's division added another layer of stress to their already challenging situation. Medical complications arose as the snake's condition fluctuated. Some days brought signs of improvement, only to be followed by frightening setbacks. Each crisis left both Lisa and her father emotionally drained, questioning whether they were doing the right thing. The approach of Lunar New Year celebrations created additional pressure. Mr. Chen's restaurant was usually central to the community's festivities, but this year he struggled to balance his responsibilities. Traditional preparations fell behind schedule as he divided his attention. Lisa's studies began to suffer as she spent more time researching exotic snake species and consulting with specialists. Her professors noticed her declining performance, and her dream of graduating at the top of her class seemed to be slipping away. The snake's breathing grew more labored, and its once bright eyes dulled with pain. Despite their best efforts, infections spread through its system, creating new complications that required even more specialized care and attention. Mr. Chen started having dreams about his late wife, vivid visions where she stood in their old garden, surrounded by serpents made of golden light. These dreams left him feeling both comforted and disturbed, wondering if he was losing his grip on reality. The financial strain began to show in tangible ways. Bills piled up on Mr. Chen's desk, and Lisa had to take out additional student loans to cover the mounting veterinary expenses. Their savings dwindled rapidly, threatening their future security. The local media caught wind of the story, bringing unwanted attention to their situation. Reporters camped outside the restaurant, their presence disrupting business and adding to the family's stress. Privacy became a luxury they could no longer afford. As the snake's condition deteriorated, the emotional toll on both father and daughter became unbearable. They barely slept, taking turns monitoring its vital signs and administering treatments. Dark circles formed under their eyes, and their conversations became tense with worry. Legal complications intensified when wildlife authorities launched an investigation into the snake's origins. The threat of prosecution loomed over them, despite their innocent intentions and genuine desire to help the injured creature. The restaurant's staff began to quit, unable to cope with the changing atmosphere and Mr. Chen's increasing absences from the kitchen. Each departure felt like another blow to the family legacy he had spent decades building. The pressure reached a breaking point when Lisa discovered her father had mortgaged the restaurant to pay for the snake's treatments. The revelation sparked their first major argument in years, words of anger and fear echoing through the empty dining room. Through it all, the snake continued its fight for survival, its presence a constant reminder of both hope and heartbreak. Its golden scales had lost their luster, but something in its gaze still held the power to move all who saw it, as if it carried a message yet to be understood. On the eve of Lunar New Year, as lanterns swayed in the winter wind, an elderly Chinese medicine practitioner visited the restaurant. Her eyes widened upon seeing the snake, recognizing it as a rare species believed in ancient traditions to possess healing properties. This chance encounter would change everything. The practitioner, Dr. Ming, revealed that her grandfather had documented similar cases in his medical journals. She offered access to his ancient texts, which contained forgotten treatments combining modern medicine with traditional healing practices. Hope flickered anew in Lisa's tired eyes. Working through the night, Lisa and Dr. Ming translated the complex Chinese characters, discovering detailed protocols for treating injured serpents. The text spoke of specific herb combinations that could boost the snake's immune system and fight infection naturally. Mr. Mpaka Chen recognized many of the herbs from his wife's old medicine box, the same ingredients she had used to heal their community for years. In that moment, he felt her presence stronger than ever, as if she had been guiding them toward this solution all along. The local Chinese community, moved by the family's dedication, began rallying around them. Shop owners donated herbs, elderly residents shared their knowledge, and young volunteers helped maintain the restaurant while Mr. Chen focused on the snake's care. A prestigious wildlife foundation, hearing about their efforts, offered to sponsor the snake's treatment and protect it from legal complications. Their support lifted the financial burden and provided legitimacy to their rescue efforts. Lisa's professors, impressed by her dedication and innovative approach to combining traditional and modern medicine, offered to count her work with the snake as a special research project. Her academic standing was no longer in jeopardy. The snake's response to the new treatment protocol was remarkable. Within days, its scales began regaining their luster, and its eyes brightened with renewed vitality. Each small improvement felt like a personal victory for everyone involved. Media attention shifted from skepticism to celebration as the story of community unity and healing spread. The restaurant became a symbol of hope, drawing visitors who came to witness the miracle unfolding within its walls. Dr. Ming's presence brought an unexpected blessing. Her techniques for preparing traditional medicines attracted new customers to the restaurant. The business began to thrive as people sought both physical and spiritual nourishment. The wildlife authorities, impressed by the family's commitment and the community's support, granted special permission for the snake's rehabilitation program. Their decision set a precedent for combining traditional and modern approaches to wildlife care. Lisa's research gained attention in veterinary circles, opening discussions about integrating traditional Chinese medicine into modern veterinary practices. Her experience was proving valuable far beyond their immediate situation. The snake's recovery accelerated as Lunar New Year approached. Its movements became stronger, more purposeful, as if drawing energy from the festival's promise of renewal and transformation. Mr. Chen and Lisa's relationship deepened through their shared mission. The tension from their earlier argument dissolved into understanding, their bond strengthened by facing challenges together. The restaurant staff, who had remained loyal through the difficult times, found themselves part of something greater than just a business. Their dedication was rewarded as the restaurant's reputation grew, attracting customers who appreciated their commitment to compassion. Local schools began requesting educational visits, eager to teach children about wildlife conservation and cultural heritage. The snake's story became a lesson in perseverance, community, and the power of combining old wisdom with new knowledge. Each day brought new signs of the snake's recovery, but also transformed those around it. The creature's fighting spirit inspired others facing their own battles, its journey becoming a metaphor for overcoming adversity. Dr. Ming observed that the snake's presence had created a bridge between generations, cultures, and healing traditions. Its recovery was healing not just a single creature, but an entire community's sense of connection and purpose. The approaching New Year festivities took on deeper meaning as the community prepared to celebrate not just the traditional holiday, but also the miracle they had witnessed together. The restaurant buzzed with an energy that felt both ancient and new. For Mr. Chen, watching the snake grow stronger each day brought back memories of his wife's teachings about the cycle of renewal. He finally understood that saving this creature had allowed him to honor her legacy in ways he never expected. As dawn broke on Lunar New Year's Day, the snake emerged from its healing chamber, its scales now radiating a brilliant golden emerald hue that seemed to illuminate the room. The transformation was beyond anything they had dared to hope for. The infection had completely cleared, leaving behind scars that somehow enhanced rather than diminished the snake's beauty. Each mark told a story of survival, resilience, and the power of unconditional care. International wildlife experts, drawn by reports of the miraculous recovery, confirmed the snake belonged to an endangered species thought to be extinct in the wild. Its survival would contribute vital data to conservation efforts worldwide. The restaurant's reputation soared as news of the miracle spread. Customers now came not just for Mr. Chen's famous dumplings, but to experience the atmosphere of healing and renewal that permeated the space. Lisa's research paper on combining traditional Chinese medicine with modern veterinary practices was accepted for publication in a prestigious journal. Her work would help shape the future of wildlife rehabilitation. The community's unity during the crisis had revitalized Chinatown's traditional values. Young people began seeking out elderly practitioners to learn ancient healing wisdom, bridging the generational gap. Mr. Chen found himself sharing stories of his wife's healing practices with eager audiences, keeping her memory alive through the knowledge she had passed down. Her legacy now touched more lives than ever before. The Wildlife Foundation established a permanent partnership with the restaurant, creating a scholarship fund for students studying integrative veterinary medicine. The snake's story would continue inspiring future generations. Dr. Ming's contribution led to the creation of a traditional medicine research center in Chinatown, with Mr. Chen's restaurant serving as its spiritual home. Ancient wisdom and modern science found common ground in healing. The snake's presence had transformed the restaurant into a sanctuary where people came to find hope and healing. Its story reminded visitors that miracles were possible when compassion met determination. The staff who had stayed through the difficult times were now partners in the restaurant's expanded mission. Their loyalty had helped create something far greater than a simple business. Local artists began creating works inspired by the snake's journey, filling Chinatown's galleries with images of renewal and transformation. The story had awakened creativity throughout the community. The wildlife authorities used the case to establish new guidelines for integrating traditional healing practices into animal rehabilitation programs. The snake's recovery had changed policies as well as hearts. Lisa and her father's relationship blossomed into a true partnership, combining his intuitive wisdom with her scientific knowledge. Their story inspired other families to bridge their own generational divides. The snake's recovery became a symbol of hope for critically ill patients in nearby hospitals. Its story was shared in recovery rooms and therapy sessions, offering proof that healing was possible against all odds. Tourists from around the world began including the restaurant in their travel itineraries, drawn by its reputation as a place where ancient wisdom met modern miracles. The small family business had become a global destination. Environmental organizations recognized the Chen family's contribution to wildlife conservation, leading to new protective measures for endangered species. The snake's survival had far-reaching implications for conservation efforts. The restaurant's success allowed Mr. Chen to establish a foundation supporting both wildlife rehabilitation and preservation of traditional healing practices. His wife's dream of healing others lived on in unexpected ways. Teachers incorporated the snake's story into their lessons about perseverance, community, and the importance of preserving cultural wisdom. Future generations would learn from this remarkable tale of healing. As spring approached, the snake's strength had fully returned, yet it showed no desire to leave. It had found its true home among those who had sacrificed everything to save it, becoming a living testament to the power of love and dedication. 1 year after that fateful morning in the alley, Mr. Chen stood in his transformed restaurant, watching the golden and emerald snake move gracefully through its specially designed habitat. The Lunar New Year celebrations were beginning again, but this time with a deeper understanding of renewal. The snake's journey had become legendary in Chinatown, drawing people seeking their own miracles. Many found that witnessing its recovery gave them strength to face their own challenges, proving that hope could survive even the darkest moments. Lisa's veterinary practice now operated alongside her father's restaurant, combining modern medicine with traditional healing wisdom. Together, they had created a new model of care that honored both innovation and ancient knowledge. Throughout the year, countless visitors had shared their own stories of transformation, inspired by the snake's resilience. Each tale added to the growing legacy of healing that had begun with one simple act of compassion. The restaurant's walls now displayed photographs documenting the snake's recovery, alongside articles about the revolutionary changes it had inspired in wildlife conservation and veterinary medicine. Its impact continued to ripple outward. Mr. Chen often found himself remembering his wife's words about healing others to heal oneself. The snake had not only survived, it had helped him find purpose again, transforming his grief into a force for positive change. The golden and emerald serpent had become more than just a miracle story. It was living proof that sometimes the most profound healing comes from unexpected sources. Its presence reminded everyone that second chances were always possible. As another year began, the snake's eyes still held that mysterious wisdom, but now they shone with vitality and contentment. It had found its true purpose, becoming a bridge between past and present, between despair and hope. The Chen family's journey with the snake had taught them that miracles don't just happen. They're created through unwavering faith, dedication, and the courage to believe in possibilities. Their story would continue inspiring others for generations to come. Looking at the crowds gathering for the New Year festivities, Mr. Chen smiled, knowing that sometimes the greatest transformations begin with a single moment of compassion. The snake had not just survived, it had helped an entire community remember the true meaning of healing.